Welcome back, everyone. How you doing on this Monday morning? Good? Everybody good? If you're feeling a little less motivated than you like, well, your negative thoughts could be to blame. So how do you flip the switch? We're discussing that in today's Real Talk with Kara Kinnear. Atlanta United reporter Beth Keener stuck around for us, and from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Tanya Sam is here. Oh my God. Well, not myself. Did you burn yourself with hot scalding coffee and need a little motivation? You're going to get it right now. Ladies, but it's so true, right? I mean, it's something we all know, how significant that negative self-talk can be, and just really taking you down a hole that you can't recover from. And that's what we decided to talk about today. Experts say we experience thousands of negative thoughts per day, and it can be detrimental to your well-being. We know that. Does it surprise you that the way you think, though, can truly impact your physical health? Because that's what we're learning.
No.
Yeah,
no. I mean, there was a time where I would have these debilitating stomach pains, like in my early 20s, and I remember people telling me, like, I think you're just stressed, and then I would get so upset because I'm like, no, something is really physically wrong with me. And then looking back on it, I'm like, that's exactly what it was. It was where I was my life, and I was so all over the place, and it was manifesting itself in a way that was making me physically ill. So,
right. And I do think we're all, like, everything is very much connected, and I don't think there is a lot that we know about how our brain works, and I do think that so many things can manifest in your life just by what you think and dwell upon.
Right. How about for you, Tanya?
Well, I feel like I'm not surprised at all. What did surprise me about this article was how many negative thoughts. They were saying thousands of negative thoughts a day and how that impacts on your health. So for me, I mean, I've worked in oncology. Like, we deal in positive thinking and hope. So I'm just really happy to be discussing this. I think it's really timely. And the tools that we can use to reset your brain so that you can be cognizant of all those negative thoughts playing in your head over and over and over.
And literally putting up the stop sign or whatever visual you need, or whatever triggers that you need to make things stop and to turn those thoughts around. So here are a few thoughts they say to drop right now. We're going to dive right in. Number one, I'll do it later. Putting off something you need to get done is likely to lead to more stress. Whoever feels actually better about waiting to do something that you really have to get done? And it's true, you don't, right?
That's what it is.
It's tax season, so I think this is like everybody. Just do it. And you know, I feel like it's one of those things where it just weights on you more and more and more and kind of crushes you because you've left it back in your mind. I use this little saying all the time, done is better than perfect, because you know, we like to be perfect, but just once you get it done, you're like, oh, and it just
But I will say too, there's some part of it that, like, as an independent contractor, that I have to, like, tally every single receipt. And it's like, you know,
and
12 hours of, oh my goodness, it's on my to-do list, which is another thing they talk about, helping you be productive. But every time I look at it, I'm like, nah.
I know Jim will say the 5 second, hey, everything's in, just sit down and do it right now. We'll put on a movie for the kids, just do it. And I'm like, give me a minute.
I think, Kara, too, this speaks to what you were saying about that, like, pit in your stomach, especially students get it. That list is overwhelming, and that now we key in and we see what that was.
There's such a fine line too, because it's like, how do we keep ourselves motivated and get the stuff done that we need to get done, but then not beat ourselves up for not doing everything that we feel like we should be doing, right? Because that's just as guilty in making us feel bad about ourselves.
Yeah, if your to-do list is too long. I love self-help, and I read a ton of self-help, and it is very key to create a list, but also prioritize. What are the things that need to be done now? And if you can accomplish those few things, then you're like, okay, I've accomplished what needs to be done, and then you can move some things to the next day as needed.
What do you think we've done in the past few weeks where people are saying prioritize and do the most important things first, where Kara and I had always taken the approach of, let's go to the cleaners. Oh good, that's easy, it's on my way home. Because then you feel a sense of accomplishments, right, with those marking through that list. So what do you think about that? Do you two tackle your most important on the list when you wake up, or?
So I try to. I mean, you know, we all have, like, our better self is like what I try to do. So I try to do the hardest things first.
I should say.
Like, start my day. I'm all pumped. I'm the type of person where I do wake up pretty up and peppy anyway. So I'm like, okay, let's put all that energy into the things that I dread the most. Try and get it off my list. And then as you move through the day, it's like, okay, I can do the dry cleaning, or I can, you know,
and then you feel so good that you just got got
You
it
feel good.
off. Yes.
You feel accomplished.
Yes.
For me, I feel like some of my most mundane things are also very important. Like when my husband's like, out of underwear. And I'm like, you know what?
That's not my problem.
It's about time for me to do the laundry.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
It's right. Oh, okay. You're
Yeah.
like, I'm right on that. You're like, uh-oh. All right, well, something else that we should also stop doing any type of catastrophic thinking. When something doesn't go your way, it's easy to let your mind really delve deep into that dark side and say, instead, experts say, take more control by telling yourself you have the power to do better next time.
Yeah.
And that thought process will motivate you to succeed.
Yeah.
How easy is that?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm dead inside because
No, you are not.
I don't think that, but I do feel
You are
like
not dead inside.
I do feel like sometimes I have beat myself up so many times about things that I couldn't control, and I just got tired of doing it. So now I really try not to dwell there, and I really don't until, like, if I'm laying in bed at night and I can't get to sleep, that's really the only time I'll overthink things. But otherwise, I just keep it moving.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, Eckhart Tolle, I'm listening to Super Soul Combo right
Yes.
now
Oh,
with
okay.
Oprah. And let me tell you, if you don't love Oprah already, just like, listen to some Super Soul, you will fall more in love. But she is talking to him, and he says that when you are overwhelmed with emotion, he calls it the pain body, because it's a body of pain that we carry around that makes us react so heavily. He said, breathe, maybe just focus on breathing to bring yourself right back into the present moment so that you don't feel overwhelmed by the negativity that your emotions are trying to put on you. And feel alive. Look at your hands, or like breathe, feel what it feels like to feel alive, so that you can't think two thoughts at one time.
Right.
So you're paying attention to, I'm here, I'm good, I'm
Right.
alive, and
You
that's
really
a good way to
can't-
combat
You
it.
can't have
Yeah.
two thoughts. I've heard other psychologists, psychiatrists say the same thing. Your brain can only rest on one thought at a time. Make it the best, most positive thought.
Yeah.
But it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
And also just, again, whether it is a stop sign you visualize, like how do you stop going down that little rabbit hole of negativity? What techniques,
I
or
think
what do you do?
it's training your brain. Like, you really have to kind of check those thoughts, and oftentimes you don't realize, you're like, oh, I did it again, and you're kicking yourself all day long. And the weight of that on your physical well-being, I think, is what is really important about this article. So it's just training your brain, resetting it, and be like, you're right. Okay, I didn't get around to that, but the catastrophic effects of that aren't going to be, as big as you think they are, and you just kind of keep bringing yourself back, bringing yourself back.
There's some truths too that, like, because I say really dumb things to people, and then I have like awkward remorse for 5 days afterward.
I do too.
But when you think about it, no one else is thinking about you.
No, right.
No,
I
it's
know.
true.
Yeah.
Kara's like, oh, I may resemble that statement.
No, but I always think, like, it doesn't come, like, if you're upset by something somebody else said, I'd say 99% of the time has nothing to do with you. And then we let it bother us.
Right.
And we're like, why? They're not thinking about how it affected you.
Yeah.
Probably, more than likely.
Going down the list, this number 3, we can all relate thanks to social media. Their life is so much better than mine. Remember that you don't know what really happens behind closed doors. That person that you think may be the best, having the best, most outstanding life, might actually be going through so much.
Yep.
And so one thing I will say, I've definitely stopped doing that.
Yeah.
But early on, I was like, oh, look at them, and then now I just know there is more than meets the eye to all of our lives. So how are they different? They're not.
Yep.
Right.
And
Nobody
we're
is.
projecting a positive image because honestly, we would love to have the lives that we put out on social media ourselves.
Right.
But we all have crap. We just do. And I think it's important to remember that story of the hammers, how when everyone talks about their problems and puts their hammer in the middle of the room, you're going to go back and get your own hammer. You're not going to take anybody else's.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I think 2 things when you read that, Christine. One was like, no, it's not. Probably not that great. But 2, if it is, who cares? Great. Let them live their lives.
Yeah.
And it's cool to watch somebody be so happy and great. Good for you.
That's
Good for
amazing.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like, let's find joy in other people's happiness and think about where we are. And if we want something different in our lives, we're the only ones that have the power to do that.
Yeah.
Amen.
There, that's
Amen.
well said.
Right. What about number 4? I'll be happy when tying your happiness to an achievement in the future. When I lose that 15 pounds for the reunion, when I finally get married, or if I finally meet that guy, when I finally get that promotion, it's dangerous to do it.
This one right here.
Yes,
This
that one is hard.
It's hard. I feel like the older that I've gotten, the more wise I am about trying not to do it, but I do still fall into this a little bit. You can't help it because you're always like, no, that everything's going to change when that happens.
But this is the one, I think, out of all of them that struck me as you are wasting your life. Like every day is so precious.
I know.
And you know, I mean, I used to do this, I think, when I was younger in college. I'd be like, when I get out of college and I have a paycheck, everything's going to be different, right? So there's a couple instances where you have these life-changing shifts, but you know, on a daily basis, when you're like, okay, in 6 months I'll be happy when I start working out, when I start eating better. So it's all those little pieces that you can do in your daily life to just live the here and now.
And I feel like we all know people like that are constantly like, and it feels like they're just like on a hamster wheel, like spinning their wheels, and they can't really go anywhere because it's like they are always thinking, if I had this or this, my life would be better, when truly.
And two, I think for me, it's less about happiness and more about success. Oh, well, I'll consider myself successful when I achieve, when I get there. And then you get there, you don't even realize you're there, but you've already set your sights on something
else.
So you're never achieving
You're never content. Yes.
Also, I'll say with this too is that, you know, I feel like we should all be constantly striving for bigger and better. So even once you get there, I think you need to like frame it like, well, what's next? And you shouldn't be looking for the next thing, but just happily growing and evolving as a person.
Right.
But knowing that it's tempered by like, I'm happy where I am.
I'm happy right now. I mean, listen to what Kenny Leon was saying. Like he never wants to stop doing what he loves. But he's not necessarily not enjoying the moment, thinking about the next show he's going to do. And I think that's, but you have to be in a really good headspace and heart space to be that way. But I love you ladies. We get to chat all afternoon. But weigh in on our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you.